also.
S-VHS! WTF! Please, can you guys come on up here? You got an audience that really wants to talk to you.
How's everyone doing?
Oh my God!
Okay, so I'm Barrett, and I wrote and directed the wraparound, and also wrote the segment that Adam directed where he has the camera in his eye.
I'm Sanchez. I directed the second part with the zombies with Gregg, Hale.
I'm Wingard. I directed the one where the guy's the camera eyeball, and there's lots of loud noises throughout it.
We already met. We go way back.
Kyle Crosby, I produced Ride and Park with Ed and Gregg.
Yeah, it sucks that Gareth and Timo aren't here because I'm sure everybody has the most questions for their batshit crazy Indonesian show.
And Jason Eisner is not just snubbing Salt Lake City, he's in bed with food poisoning.
Oh.
Yeah, he got really, really sick and like showed up at the premiere with like a bucket and had to puke a couple times. So he's been in bed all day, so he couldn't make it tonight, but he's nearby. Thank you all for seeing the film and for sticking around. Did anyone have any like questions or anything? Guys. No, we don't have much to say.
In the back. Another one, what are you going to call it? VHS, S-VHS, what?
Maybe high A?
Or VHS-C, kind of.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, VHS Compact was their attempt to rival Hale, and in the movie will only have to be like 20 minutes long.
Make it first, then name it.
Yeah, well, that's what we did with this one. I saw you in the back first, sir.
So, this sounds like a stupid question, but the scene with the dog in the alien abduction one, I was kind of looking for a disclaimer at the end that said no animals were harmed. I didn't see one, so I thought there might be some people here concerned. I just wondered how that was done.
Yeah, no disclaimer at the end.
There's a lot of dogs.
Yeah, I mean, Jason has actually a bunch of funny stories because the kids were feeding that dog like hot dogs the whole time that they were shooting, like from that early scene, and the dog was basically kind of comatose. So to get it to die, they didn't have to do anything because all it wanted to do was lie on its side. I remember just off screen just shaking it, and then when you stop shaking it, the dog doesn't move. It's Jason's.
Yeah, that's Jason's dog.
It's Jason's family's dog. Yeah.
Riley Eisner.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the dog's.
Alive and well in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, right there.
I wanted to congratulate you guys. That's like the best use of first person consistently through a movie that I have seen. And like the concept that maybe you started with, or if that was something that kind of came about through the stories you put together, or which came first?
You mean like the found footage aspect?
That it's all like word camera, or it's on the dog, or whatever. It's not.
Well, I think like with this series, I think whenever everybody's pitching their ideas, I think we always like start from from the found footage angle, which is if somebody's like pitching like a zombie movie idea, it's like first and foremost everybody wants to know what's the perspective of it, and that's what I think is cool about the whole VHS series is that. Because I think we've all gone out of our way to try to find like new ways that you haven't seen that done before, and and the whole thing with found footage is kind of cool because you can tell stories that you've seen before, about like ghosts and zombies and satanic crazy shit in Indonesia, but you can do it kind of in a new light, by showing it from that found footage perspective. It just makes everything interesting, in a way that you haven't seen before.
But I mean, there is something I think we kind of also found out. Adam and I worked on the first film with Roxanne, and And we did kind of just find out at a certain point, like it's just better. Like the radio silence short, I don't know if you saw the first one, but it ended with radio silence, this thing where it was just a nanny cam, like a functioning camera for some reason. We were kind of like, oh, yeah, why didn't I think of that? And it's just like, we just kind of figured out that it was like some of the stuff just worked better if the person just had a camera on them from their perspective running at all times.
Yeah.
It was more like immediate. And it's weird that kind of everyone did the same thing. But you know, it just, I think we also just like weren't gonna sweat like the practicality of it as much this time. We were trying to make a more fun movie than the first.
That's awesome.
What's your planned release date? Because I kind of want to watch it again.
We just started over.
we don't have a distributor yet. I mean, we're hoping like someone will buy this film, so we have no idea. I mean, it's showing in Park City later this week, but yeah, we don't know. But hopefully we'll know soon. Anyone else?
Balcony?
Oh, well, you right there.
I know you just now said that you were going to make this one more fun than the first one, so I just had a question. Was the zombie one like always intended to be as funny as it ended up being, or did it end up like just kind of getting there? Or
No, it was supposed to be
Funny. Funny.
Very rude audience.
No, we were definitely, pushing it toward the comedic kind of side of, things and just trying to gross people out. I think we succeeded. Right, can I say anything?
No. There's one of the back there. He's been raised in the table.
Oh, okay.
So I rarely see a horror film that the sequel surpasses the first one, so I'd like to congratulate you guys on that. This movie blew me away. I love that genre. But I was wondering, so were you guys all friends?
No, absolutely not.
Is there 2 writers and directors here for the sequel, and do you guys plan for a trilogy?
I don't know, maybe Roxanne.
Roxanne?
Well, this is the first time, it's kind of, Brad's been, who's not here tonight, has been running Bloody Disgusting for like over 10 years, and we've kind of all been around like festivals and stuff together, and working on like similar films, and Adam and Simon did ABCs of Death recently, and fully filmed like we're at the festival circuit. We kind of all like met each other that way. Like I think we got Edúardo and Gregg and Jamie Nash further involved at South by Southwest. We all sat down, and I think Gareth and Tito came on board in a karaoke room at the same festival. It's kind of I'd say everybody's friends.
Lots of
No, I mean, we didn't know Ed and Gregg before we went into this, but Simon and I had met Gareth in 2011 when we were at Toronto with Your Next, because they both pretty much, the raid premiered about the same time. And so instantly we were like trying to figure out how we could work with him, and Jason, we are friends now because he stays on my couch for weeks at a time when he comes to visit Los Angeles. And he also gets food poisoning there somehow too.
That's a sensitive lad.
All right, is that it?
For the trilogy part of
So
it.
there's 2 back there, you on the left.
Could we go over the next show, but is there a common mythology between the first one and the first segment in this movie and the Skype segment in the movie? I know it's lots of
I mean, I wrote them both, and I don't have very many ideas. It's actually really weird. You're the second person to ask me that today. The first person was a journalist who interviewed me, and no, that wasn't intentional. The like little kids as ghosts, is a fairly low budget way to accomplish a supernatural special. And no, I mean, the Skype thing was originally supposed to be like an alien segment that Brad really wanted, and I didn't really know how to do that because I'm not scared of aliens, so I tried to do it kind of as a Skype haunted house thing. And then Brad was like, "Well, fuck it, I'll get my alien segment eventually." Jason finally gave it to him, and the one with Adam with the retinal implant, it was just trying to be more of a straightforward ghost story, obviously kind of riffing on, like some established tropes of the genre. So no, but but I mean, I guess I really need to come up with something new there. And then someone over there keeps raising their hand. Yeah.
I was wondering if it is a trilogy, do you have any intention to make a central plot explaining like a conspiracy behind what we're seeing? Is there a grander plan you have in the works?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first film hints at a mythology so obliquely that it's, I mean, there's no point even bothering to figure out what it's talking about. And then this film extrapolates slightly further for the like 2 or 3 people in the world that would actually be interested. There's like some clues that we drop, and you can kind of tie. There's definitely things in the wraparound of this that tie into the wraparound of the first film. And then I think if we did make a third film, which is a significant if at this juncture, we would try to make the wraparound actually answer some of these questions. Which, needless to say, it's a lot more difficult to answer questions than to just present them, so I probably wouldn't write that. I'd hire someone else to do it. In the middle?
I know that you guys got some criticism for the date rape scene in the first movie, and then I noticed that this didn't seem as it's like frat boy.
Not quite as rapey.
Well, it wasn't as like frat boy and dude as duty as the first one. Like, was that an intentional? There weren't really many frat boys in this, and there were several in the first.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
was that an intentional? Is that intentional, or is that just you're done with?
No, I mean that's a fair question. I mean, I think these films always kind of end up having unifying themes. And in the first one, if there was a unifying theme to the first VHS, it was the idea of found footage horror based on the failed sex tape. Every segment has like a failed sex tape aspect because we thought of why people would be videotaping themselves doing anything, and we could really only come up with one. But it was more like not like, I mean, there's kind of a reason that the first 30 seconds of the film are the way they are. It's kind of like, hey, remember when we did that? Okay, we're moving on. It was more just like we did that, and some people responded more negatively to it than we thought they would. But we weren't necessarily like regretful. It was more just like, we have nothing else to say on that subject, so here's some zombies. I don't want to pull off that question because it's a good one. Did that answer?
No, and I wasn't offended by the first one.
I was. No, that's a good question. Thank you. Do we have time for more?
We have time.
Okay, anyone else? All the way back, and then I'll be in the balcony. Sorry.
Did you have one mastermind behind all the makeup effects through all the films, or was it different teams?
No, every team had their own crew on this. Adam and I used the same crews. Adam and I piggybacked our shoots in Los Angeles, but Greg, did you have something to say?
No. Just talk, Greg.
Come on, Greg, say something.
No, I mean, we used, what's Jason's company's name?
Yeah, who was your
Aftermath in Baltimore.
Is it based on the Nacho Cerda film?
Awesome.
Is anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But we did everything, it was all completely separate crews between, that was the kind of thing everybody just went off and worked with people that they had worked with before. So everything was separate.
And from watching Gareth and Timo's, their rough cut of their footage, it's like pretty much, it's really shocking to know really how much of the blood effects in the Indonesian short is actually CGI stuff. They did a really good job. And Gareth, if you see his movie The Raid, I mean, it's kind of similar where there's just a lot of blood effects that are done in post that are just done really well. And of course there are a lot of practical stuff in that.
Yeah, I actually suspect that Adam and I are going to use Garrett's digital blood guy in the future because he's really good. It's just this dude in Jakarta who happens to be a master at digital blood. He's the only guy that can make it look right because it always looks terrible, even in $100 million movies. But no, everyone kind of had creative control and worked with their own crews in their area, and then we all just kind of corresponded through email and Twitter DM mostly. Up in the balcony, there was a question?
Yeah, the end of the zombie film, it was a great romantic way to end it. Why do that versus anything else? I want to know more about that. It was fantastic.
Oh, thanks. That was basically our writer Jamie Nash came up with this thing, and at the beginning he had this little short conversation with his girlfriend, and at the end, there's this kind of little love thing that comes back, and you kind of feel sorry for the guy who had to blow his head off in order to stop being a zombie. We can all relate to that, And when I was editing it, I you know, because the whole thing is like found footage doesn't really have, you know, music. So I was like, you know, man, it would be really cool to have just a little music. So I took some temp music and I put it on there, and it just worked. And luckily, we were like, man, they're going to tell us to take it out. And luckily, everybody was, you know, cool with it. Nobody said anything. And then we had a composer do like a little thing, and I think it's pretty effective. It's just kind of gives a little, you know, little beat at the end that you don't expect.
Yeah, that was a big, I mean, yeah, the use of non-diegetic music was kind of a big discussion at one point, because I mean, it's obvious that we're just completely giving up on the idea of pretending that these are real found footage tapes. But then we were kind of like, you know, if there's like any one like kind of signifier of what we're trying to do with kind of the first VHS and then more so with this film, which is just like, you know, hey, like, you know, we're just kind of trying to enjoy ourselves at this point. That it's kind of the non-diegetic music. But you know, like Blair Witch, which Edúardo and Gregg made, like you know, plays it very straight. You know, like that film did that, and so you know, I thought it was kind of cool that they experimented with the format in a new way.
Oh yeah, okay, this is just a small question. That Indonesian film, the little symbols, it's been a while since I've seen Blair Witch Project, but it kind of looked like the witch.
Actually, I had that question too. Is are they referencing Blair Witch with that? Do you know?
I don't know. I was like, yeah, that's our symbol is sons of bitches. Well, we're suing these guys. So.
Yeah, kind of cool that like they like referenced Eduardo's movie in a movie with Edúardo. Yeah, I think that was Gareth and Timo like saying hi to Edúardo from Jakarta. Anything else? Oh, sorry, you in the hoodie?
Yeah, for I guess the Indonesian Cold Fuck Fest movie. Those guys that made that movie done anything else?
Oh yeah. I mean, Gareth Evans, it was two directors, Timo Tjahjanto and Gareth Evans. Gareth Evans directed the film The Raid Redemption, which I would prefer to refer to as The Raid. An incredible martial arts film that was released in this country early last year and is available on all formats. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Timo is much, and actually the reason he's not here right now is because he's shooting the sequel in Jakarta. Timo is much less known here. He did a film called Macabre that came out a couple years ago that was like amazing, but it never got US distribution. It just played festivals. But they live in Jakarta and they're like best friends. And Timo did a segment of ABCs of Death that's astonishingly good. That's coming out pretty soon. Actually, like VOD at the end of this month. So you know, they just are kind of like they're both kind of getting started. Timo's not here because he's editing a film that Gareth produced called Killers in Japan. So they've done stuff, but it's you know, mostly it's known in Asia. You back there, and then I'll get you next. You pointing yourself.
This is sort of a question for Adam and Simon. There's a short film, and if I tried to pronounce it, I would make an ass of myself.
Please do.
But the oldest portrayal of ocular trauma on film is like a short film I can remember of a guy getting his eye.
Xian Andalou?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Was that at all an influence on the last shot of one of the last shots of Phase 1 clinical trials?
I would say that we were not referencing Louis Manuel and Salvador Dali because we have, but it would be really awesome if we were that smart. That's like one of, I think that's commonly regarded as like the first like surrealist like movie ever made. It's you know, if you go to film school, you'll see it approximately 87 times. No, I mean, you know, and ever since then, you know, I mean, I don't think we were referencing it any more than like Lucio Fulci was in Zombie. Do you have anything to add about an Indonesian dog?
What, didn't we like reference that at some point though? Like on something else? What was it?
We talked about it at some point on like some other thing, and I can't remember what.
We are aware.
We know what you're talking about.
Subconsciously, maybe?
We did go to film school. No, that is weird. Why were we talking about that? I think it was that because the straight razor in the eyeball, and I wrote in the script that it was a straight razor, but I only wrote in the script that it was a straight razor because I happened to own a couple straight razors that looked like really sinister, and I was like, oh, and we can use this. So now you have much greater insight in our creative process. That's like one of the great things I'm like, what's in my closet that I can use for free? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. It means a lot.
Oh, well, thank you for being here.
in Park City last night because I wanted to wait and watch it with you guys in Salt Lake tonight. So.
Yeah, so last night.
I was sick last night, I couldn't see it, so I saw it with you guys.
We had a really fun time here last year because it is just like your first chance if you're a filmmaker at Sundance to see the film with like a real audience. So Jason is pretty miserable that he came here. He's also just pretty miserable because he has food poisoning. But yeah, so thank you all for coming out. Maybe we should end on that. If you have any more questions for us, we'll hang out for a few minutes. Thank you all. Thanks.
Chance to sound like